Hello! It is I, Ramses the 800th, and we're back with Manga Roundup. I'm feeling a little better, so we can start covering this now. And today we got a lot of stuff to cover. We got RuriDragon, Kaiju number 8, 2 chapters of Ichi the Witch, 2 chapters of Chainsaw Man, and 2 chapters of Kagurabachi. A lot of cool stuff to go through, so let's just, I guess, jump right into it. Right now we got the banner for Shonen Jump right now, which is Ichi the Witch, which is great. It's a great sign, and when we go into the chapters, we'll see that there's a lot of colors like color pages, and they look beautiful. But we're not going to start with Ichi the Witch right now. We're going to start with RuriDragon. Now, if you know me, you know this stuff. I love RuriDragon. It's such a cute little series, and this is a pretty fun, nice chapter. I always say this every time we cover RuriDragon. It's a fun, nice chapter. Basically they're hosting the sports festival now. They're doing the track. There's like a an obstacle course that they have to go through, class 3 and class 4, and we get this little subplot where somebody lost their phone and they're trying to give it back to them, and we're getting more characters in Ruri's class. I guess that's the best way of saying it, because the first, I guess, arc, air quotes, the first like segment of the story was covering all of her like female friends and the one problem friend that she had, and now they're all friends again. And now we're gonna cover probably these 4 people. They say their names as you go through the chapter, and there's this little like drama-esque thing between class 3 and class 4. And we get to it a little bit more, but people are calling the phone. They're trying to figure out whose phone it is. They know it, and Ruri's going to go help them. She's going to be the default to go help these people, right? And this is when we start getting introduced to the other people in Ruri's class. First off, we have Homura, or they call him Kagami. Homura Kagami, who's like the first person in like the first leg of the race. It's like a 4-person race. It's like the baton pass, but there's like an obstacle course, and we're getting their personalities as this little thing goes on. How they interact with each other, how they interact with other classmates, and how they are as people. We see here that Kagami, it seems to be like kind of unlucky because somebody screamed, "I hope you fall" on your forehead, and he immediately does. But and we get a little bit of Ruri's like perspective on them. Like she's saying, "Oh, Kagami, I gotta remember that name." He seems like a an upbeat guy, right? And it's just all this little stuff of her seeing people, being like, "Oh, they look interesting. Let's try to talk to them more. Oh, that person looks interesting. Let's try to talk to them more." Like planting the seeds of these are gonna be like the next friend she makes. And then we get the problem with class 3 and class 4, which is Yoshioka and Shima, who used to be friends in elementary and middle school, but the girl Shima liked Yoshioka. It's pretty funny, and he's like, I don't know, like Yoshioka is like, I don't it's not my fault. Like, it's because you're like trying to do all that. And he's like, "Oh, you're oblivious. That's why, like, you're charming and you're oblivious. That's so annoying, right?" And he's like, "Okay, so if I win, right, you have to introduce me to the girl with the horns, right?" And Yoshioka is like, she's not gonna like do anything. You can ask her yourself, right? And then Shima kind of goes off to the side, like, flustered, I guess. And Yoshioka's like, fine, I'll do you a solid if you win, right? And you won't. So, you know, but then we're starting to go into the second phase of the baton pass. We get Onizuka, and apparently a lot of people like Onizuka. They pass the baton and stuff, and they have to deal with, and you see how they interact with each other. They're all like, "Oh, sorry, my fault." And then we see they call her the Ice Queen. It's like, "Oh, the perfect face now, disheveled. Love to see it." It's such I love the language in this game. I love the language in this show and like this manga because it's so. This feels like what people would say, especially like not really my generation, but like slightly younger. But it's still pretty funny. And then Korko is like getting like, I guess it's not really flirting, it's more just like teasing, and she has to go through the worst part of the race, which is that they run on like rocks. They have to like, what is it, pop balloons, I guess. And they end up going in last. And when she gets to Yoshioka, he kind of just, he's in last place, but he's bolting, right? He has a serious look in his face, and he's just hauling. And we find out that he's actually on the track team. And he's catching up with all of them, and then we get this cute little scene where she's like, where Ruri's like, "Oh, bring it home, like do your best," and it it's a nice little thing. It does is it gonna like result in anything like major? I don't think so. Like major air quotes, anything like important maybe, but Ruri still has her excited horns. They're probably not gonna go away until like the end of this entire thing, but I wonder how this is gonna like turn out, especially when they found out they made a bet. Kind of, he wasn't like being defensive. Yoshioka, I have to like keep pronouncing it in my head. Yoshioka, he wasn't being like defensive. He was more just like, I mean, you can ask her yourself, but fine, if we're putting in a thing, you'll have to beat me if you want me to do that. And then now we're gonna go into the final lap, which is the final zone, which they say is gonna be a doozy, folks. They say it's gonna be a doozy. Maybe you have to like climb something. Maybe it's like you have to jump over things. He's in the track team, so he's probably really fast. But yeah, this is like I said, RuriDragon's always like a very calm series. Nothing too major happens in it. Like nobody's dying, nobody's getting hurt. But I really thought Ruru was gonna be in the race, but I forgot she was part of like the thing committee, so she probably wasn't gonna be anyway. Um, but yeah, this is just fun school stuff with some slight fantastical stuff with her being a dragon, right? But we in this chapter we're also seeing how other classes see Ruri, where this guy I forgot his name, Shima, I think. Shima is just like, oh, like there's a lot of cute girls in class 3. I want to talk to the dragon girl, and he's basically asking his former friend, yo, do me a solid. And he's like, whatever, man, you could do it yourself, but all right. Which is nice. It's you're getting more development on the side characters, air quotes, on the side characters, and also potentially Ruri's new friends. They probably were already cool like that, but we get to see them be friends. But yeah, that was chapter 26 of RuriDragon. I wonder what the final part of the obstacle course is going to be. But now we go to Kaiju number 8. Kaiju number 8, chapter 119. And we kind of pick up literally directly where we left off, where Kafka's getting his new like power. He's fully merging with the I was gonna call it a demon, with the kaiju. And it's like, oh, we're gonna kick their asses, right? I'll shoulder your burdens, right? Kafka being a good guy, he's like, I'll take it all on and we'll do this all together, right? And a grudge spanning 400 years. So it's been 400 years since that thing last appeared, right? Crazy. And we get the image of the outside, how Kafka's still like out, but Himeno Kafka, but he's twitching. He's Mai, I think her name's Mai. Um I always say, forgive me, my names are awful. I'm pretty sure it's Mai seeing his hand twitch, and she's like, I could have sworn I just saw it, right? I'm not imagining it. He hasn't turned back into a human. Uh and she's like, he's probably alive, but you know, I don't want to put too much hope in it, right? And she's saying like Kafka hasn't given up because he hasn't de-transformed yet. And then we get a fight over. We get the continuation of the fight with the. I don't know. I keep forgetting what it's called. The other Kaiju number 9, the Kaiju 9, the new 9, I guess, and Hoshina and Nomuri, Hoshina and Nomuri. Yeah, the fight between the vice captain and the captain, right? And it's getting heated, right? They're trying to do it. They're not really doing well, and his eyes. He's really straining his eyes to like see and like kind of figure out how to beat him, right? On top of that, my future strike doesn't work when multiple futures unfold. Like he's basically maneuvering everything, and he's looking at him and he's saying this thing has more to it, and he's basically seeing all the kaiju that's there, or the true mass that it is, and he kind of gets it. He's like, oh, I get it now. The signal of sources kaiju's bodies are in the tens, no hundreds. There's like a lot of signals coming out at once, and they're saying like, oh, we can't really keep up. And we see that the new kaiju number 9, I can't remember what it's called. He's getting he's blocking shit, right? He's not really getting hit. He's really good at dodging. And they started figuring out that, oh, we're actually hitting him now. Like, yes, he's dodging the stuff, he's reading it, but we are getting those hits in. Captain Nomura's efforts to chip away at him are working, so Nomura's like actually basically doing enough of the stuff, but they don't have enough power to like really do it. And they're saying like, oh, this is like our last chance. We have to put literally everything we have into it. And Nomura overheats, unfortunately, but he's doing the crazy eyes. He's like, let's a controlled overdrive. Let's do it. We keep going, and we know that overdrive is pretty bad because once you crash, it's very bad, right? And the staff members are like, it's like when General Shimura was what happened. That's like what happened with him. Um, and he says, I'll buy them as much time as I can, even if only it's a second, and grab more information. I'm able to form this thing, like, so that he can fully understand this thing. He'll keep fighting as much as he can, even for a second, right? And then he gets got. He gets stabbed in the chest, probably because he got. I don't think he got caught off guard, but I think he's not the only one learning. You know, it's also this beast thing that's learning. So he got hit in like a pretty bad spot. I don't think that's his heart, but that's still like his lung, and that's probably enough. And that's enough to like shock him back into like the overdrive stopped working. Basically, he's shocked back into regular form, and he gets these symbols, which is bad. But then Captain, like everyone's like, oh, Captain Amoro's gonna die, but Kafka comes in and just slams right into his abdomen, which is sick. He just boom right into the stomach. He's probably gonna go flying after this, but it's basically like again passing the torch on, saying like, "You got this, Kafka. Show me what you got." Right? I'm a little disappointed that Kafka didn't get like a newer ish form, but you know it's fine. He's probably stuck like that, truthfully, but he might like as the fight goes on, he might get bigger or something. I don't know. But this is like I keep saying this every time Kaiju number 8 comes out. This feels like we're getting there, right? You know, we're almost near the end. We've probably got like 10 max chapters left before the series ends because this is the big fight. You know, this is the big fight. Kafka got his heart taken. Kafka is now a full kaiju technically, and he's basically in his second win doing his final attack, his final like hits. So I don't know how they're gonna end it, but I am excited for when they do. We're probably gonna end in chapter 130, my guess, maybe 130. But yeah, I doubt this captain's gonna die. I doubt it, but you know, you never know. He got stabbed in the chest. It's not good. Um, but the kaiju suits they can like heal, but they can really do whatever they want. But aside from that, that was kaiju number 8, chapter 119. I wonder what you guys have for predictions. What do you guys think is going to happen next? Put it in the comments if you guys feel like it. Now we go to Ichi the Witch. I was so wrong about Ichi the Witch, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Okay, so Ichi the Witch chapter 114 is basically finishing off the mushroom stuff. Basically saying like mushrooms are dangerous. Don't go going on a stroll. And we got a little bit more on Ichi's backstory with that one guy. Don't remember his name. And he's like, oh, I tried eating some random mushrooms. I almost died. And he's like, the most important thing about mushrooms is you have to be fully covered. You just never know what you have to deal with. You got to be covered head to toe, cover your eyes, cover your nose. And he's saying like stomping around like Togeist is doing is a bad idea because the mushrooms they go wherever they feel like. And he's like, it's going through protective barriers, going through everything, and mushrooms start sprouting on Togeist, and then Togeist just freezes it and destroys it. Cool. And they both make the plan that like we need to take the Majiki out immediately, like in one go, and fast. Like we have to do it quickly. And the reason Ichi's able to find the mushroom Majiki so fast is because he knows where mushrooms like to go, like the damp nooks and base of trees. Mushrooms like to grow on. I can spot it usually trying to hide easily. Like I can track it down. Won't be that difficult. But since it's so fast, it's better to set a trap. And they use Kugumi as the trap. So we get a thing of like the mushrooms, like, oh my god, it's so freaky. I don't really get it. And they basically made Kagumi look like a tree. They just put like leaves, damp old moss, dead leaves, roots, stuff like that. Because we already know that the mushroom thought she was a tree when she tried to climb her, when it tried to climb her. And the mushroom, being stupid, was like, oh, it's perfect. It's the perfect spot. You know, it's a perfect tree. It's all like great elevation. It's luxury bed everywhere, right? It climbs up Kagumi, She grabs him and she's like, Ichi! And Ichi's wearing those the boots, the fast leg boots, the ones that he used back when he was in the Magic Capital or whatever it was called. And he's going for like the cutting of the stem. Unfortunately, Togeist is there and is gonna like chomp on everything to freeze it. And then Kogumi's like, oh shoot, Ichi, come on, hurry. And he's looking somewhere else. And he darts because he sees this guy, this thing. And he's like, oh, I felt an extreme sense of bloodlust, right? And he attacks this guy. Beautiful art. I'll always say this, beautiful art. And they collide and goes, oh, you're a Majiki. So if you watched my previous video, my one from last 2 weeks ago, I made like 3 theories. I don't remember exactly what they were, but I remember I said this is probably future future Ichi. This is probably a memory of one of his old masters, because at the time he kind of just like phased in and out. And so I thought it was like a vision. I think I might have said it might have been a bad guy. I don't remember though. You guys have to correct me on that if I said that. But he's a Majiki. Yeah, that's crazy, you know? And so that was chapter 114. Now we can go to chapter 15. And this is the one with the double page spreads, which is great. Let's do this. Hold on. Give me a sec, let it load. Here we go. Here we go. This is where we get the 2 color things, and with the cover on the top, which is great. It goes, you're a Majiki, right? And we got this beautiful art. And it's like a yin yang, which is great, but also really bad, because he knows Uroro, which is immediately a bad thing. Because if you remember, Uroro is the, what do they call him? King Majiki, right? The King of Majiki. And Uroro was like, uh-oh. And this Majiki's talking about us like, oh, what happened is like a game of yours. You're disgusting, basically. And Ichi asks like, oh, are you know him? It's like, unfortunately, it's like the last thing I want to run into. This is bad. It's like, he's got some feral bloodlust idiot. Like why did you run towards him? And he's like, Uroro's saying like, I don't know why an idiot like you acquired me. And this guy goes, you got acquired? He's basically calling him an idiot. And Ichi basically just instantly tries to go for like a kill move, basically. And this Majiki's like, you react to bloodlust and like you attack, which is weird. It's not like a usual biological response. And he asks Ichi, what do you see when you look at me? And Ichi says, I see death, with this crazy image right here. And he asks, this is like back-to-back crazy lines. Ichi goes, oh, how many people have you killed? And he creates this giant dome. We get a shot from Togeist to see what happened. It's like, oh, when Ichi ran off, I froze it. I took the mushroom. And then a barrier popped up and pushed all of us back. There's still villagers inside. And he's like, it's weird that it only kicked out mages. And Descara basically just hauls ass towards the dome for some reason. And then we get a call in from HQ, basically giving a little bit of background, saying like, this is a code 00 or 00, I don't know. And it's an S tier Majiki war came up, which is bad. And she's like, an S tier. And they said some of the prophecy people said, like, they scryed and they came back. They said 15 years ago, with absolutely no warning, a chunk of the mountain, 3 meters in diameter, including 2 towns, was wiped out in a blink of an eye. Look at this. This is horror. This is like scary stuff. This is like, if you want to calculate it in like power scaling wise, this is technically mountain level, because he cut a mountain in half, stuff like that. This 3 meters in diameter, like chunks out of mountains. So that's pretty powerful. We don't know if that's like his upper limit, but yeah. And we're saying like, and the head saying, they've been hunting this Majiki for years. If Uroro is the king Majiki, then the one and its ability to carve out a warp chunks of the world is the god Majiki. Now, if you're like me and you watch enough shonen stuff, this is both good and bad because this kind of feels fast because we're jumping from the King Majiki, who's Uroro, jumping all the way to the God Majiki in 15 chapters. That's not safe, depending on what happens, right? But I'll talk about that more when we're done. And they named it the World Hater Majiki, which is crazy. And then we get this hard line from the World Hating Majiki going, you asked me a question earlier. How many people I have killed? You misspoke. You should have asked, how many am I going to kill? Hard. That's a hard line. Sick. That deserves to be on like a t-shirt or something. And Uroro goes, kid, I know you don't like me, but come on. You gotta use me because this is not a joke. We gotta go. And Ichi's like, oh, so it is a Majiki. He's like, one wrong move and we're dead. You get that? And Ichi being himself is like, oh, baby boy, you know, I get to more fighting. And he's like, oh, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? And Ichi being himself is like, you're a Majiki. I'm Ichi the Witch, and I'm going to hunt you. I hope you're ready. And the World Hater Majiki kind of just like is angry. So that's it for these two chapters, right? Now, I want your guys' opinion on this because this is kind of important for the longevity of Ichi the Witch. Depending on what happens in the next two chapters, might depend if the series keeps going. We got a lot of cool stuff. We got cover art, we got a cover thing, that's great. But since we're already fighting the world hating Majiki, this is either gonna be Ichi is because if you want to be 100% honest, Ichi hasn't lost the fight yet. He hasn't. He the he has to lose this, but not die, obviously. He has to lose this fight so that the world hating Majiki can kind of be the antagonist, you know? Oh, the goal is to get strong enough to beat the world hating Majiki. You know what I mean? Because if he does manage to beat this Majiki, that's not good. Because he says, when I see you, I see death. I don't know. They don't really have concepts like that, but it might be. Um, he had like a weird body horror thing. Like, there's like bones, and these people turn to like flesh, like things. I don't even know. But it could be really bad if Ishii wins this. I think I think this is going to be Ichi's first loss because usually in series like this, if it is going to go on for a long time, longer, I should say, if it is going to go on for a long time, they kind of go on a streak of winning because that's what he's been doing. He's been doing nothing but winning. And then they suffer like a really heavy loss to try to make them go, okay, I need to get stronger to beat this thing. I need to get stronger to do this thing, you know? So I think this is going to be that. This is going to be that moment where it's like, I tried my hardest, I did my best, and I wasn't strong enough. Even with the maximum thing of Uroro, I wasn't strong enough to beat this guy. So I need to acquire more Majiki. I need to get more stuff. I need to be strong enough to beat this guy. Is it going to be a complete blowout? I don't know. I want your guys' opinion on that. Do you think he's going to get completely stomped, Ichi? Or do you think he's going to kind of put him on the back foot, but Ichi's like kind of just clocks out, you know? Um, it might be something like that. My prediction is going to be this fight's probably going to be 2 chapters, right? And then Ichi's gonna go into maximum mode. He's probably gonna do like one really big attack. It's not gonna kill him. It's not gonna kill the world hating Majiki. I hope not. But it is going to weaken him enough where he has to like retreat for now. You know, he has to go away for now. He might punch a hole in the barrier that's around them. He might punch a hole in it to allow everybody else to come in. And then the world hating Majiki's like, all right, I could just come back later. Fuck y'all. And then he dips. But I don't know. This when I first heard the world hating Majiki part, I was like, oof, that's not good, right? Uh, so let's see what they can do. I hope that turns out well. I hope we can get more Ichi the Witch because it's such a good series. More people are covering Ichi the Witch, which is great. I love it. Love to see it. But yeah, like I don't know how many times I can say it. I'm kind of worried, but we can only hope. So that was Ichi the Ichi the Witch, chapter 15. And now we go on to Chainsaw Man, Chainsaw Man chapter 186 and 187. And we get thrown directly into it, which is Pochita just hauling over to the aging devil. And the aging devil's like, "We have a problem. Chainsaw Man's gonna be here in a minute. So I need you guys to like sacrifice yourselves for me." And they said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Okay, nails." He takes off their nails. How does this work? I don't really know. But he removes their nails and Chainsaw Man gets torn to pieces. I think this might have something to do with mirrors, because we know he's associated with mirrors and he can attack from mirrors, I think. So since he's going through a city, he can like, use the mirrors to attack him, I guess. He's getting cut and they're like, "Ow, ow." He's like, "It's ugly method, but I have no choice. I'll force him I'll make him eat me no matter what." And it's like, "Use us, the Chainsaw Man's wannabe and the devil thing, blah 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 blah. Problems, problems." But since Denji is in the aging devil's world, he can just eat and rip the ripcord. So he's kind of unlimited. And the safety, the public safety is like, "We're ready to sacrifice everything in order for Chainsaw Man to eat you." Denji's eating the tree guy. Chainsaw Man's running. And I remember when this came out, people were like, "Wait, can you live without a liver?" Some people like search this like, "Yes, she's dead. They don't have livers anymore." So they're all probably gonna die. At least she is, because I think she's the only one who lost her liver. But Denji is still pulling that ripcord. He's still bringing Chainsaw Man back, no matter what. And he's like, eyes. His eyes pop out, and Pochita does a very smart thing. He goes to his chest, rips out his heart, and chucks it towards the aging devil. And that was the end of chapter 186. This is more of like showing you how it works, showing you that since Denji isn't in like Pochita, he's somewhere else. He can force the healing, and a perpetual motion machine. He made a perpetual motion machine. But with Pochita being thrown, he's gonna be in front of the aging devil. And that's the end of chapter 186. Now we go to 189. Hold on, I have to reload. Give me the sec. There we go. Again, picks up right where it left off with the Pochita heart landing in front of it, and the aging devil being like, "Kill it, stomp on it, don't let it regenerate." But it's too late. He pops up out of the ground and just hacks the aging devil to pieces, kind of like he did with the what is it, the falling devil. Just ripped it apart, but it just put itself back together. And he's like, "Thank you, that's the most painful thing I've ever experienced, but you can't kill me like that." And he turns his man into a tree. Imagine gonna turn into a fucking tree, like point blank. He just poked him and he turned into a tree. But Denji, being a monster and being a devil, is like, "I ate all of his guts. Well, on to the next one." Takes the axe. "Let's keep going." And the one guy's like, "What the fuck are you doing, right? These people have lived on for years to keep going, and you haven't even hit your 20s, right? You have no right to kill them." And Denji, being a maniac, is like, "All right." He's like, "Whatever, dude. I don't care. I'm eating. Leave me alone." And the guy's like, "Holy shit." And Denji, hacking people, eating people up, eating these guys up, rips the ripcord, and Pochita comes out of the tree and starts cutting this guy into pieces again. And he's kind of bored of it. He's like, "Can you just eat me already? You apparently have no other means of killing me, right?" "Yeah, it's crazy. You have no other means of killing me." He says, "Pochita, barf, right? Like, make me throw up something useful." And that's where the chapter ends. 187. This, whatever he throws up next, is going to be very important, because we don't know what it is, right? People have theorized, "Oh, what if he throws up like Power's blood? What if he throws up nukes? What, like, maybe he throws up something fictional that we don't know about that's able to beat the aging devil." But it's so weird, you know? I don't know how it works. I don't know how to, like, I don't even know what to think about, Um, I think it has to be nukes, but at the same time, how is that really useful to him? Because Pochicho's not the one throwing it up, it's Denji. Denji's the one throwing it up. Something that can beat aging, something that can beat trees. I don't know. I I think it has to be nukes, but then setting off a nuke in the middle of Japan isn't really the best thing, you know. But whatever. Oh, what about bombs? There's a bomb in, but what's like a counter to aging? If you guys could think of anything he's probably gonna throw up, that'd be really cool. Cause like the only thing I can think about is nukes, because we know that he ate nukes, right? I don't know what else. Because he didn't eat, what is it? Uh, uh Control level's still around, technically. I wonder where the new one is. Whatever. But he's gonna throw up something cool. And we're gonna find out I think this Tuesday, I don't think there's a I think there's a new chapter this week. Let's see. Oh, that didn't help me. I think there's a new chapter this week. So we'll find out then, but you guys won't hear from me until 2 weeks from now. Sad but true. But yeah, that was Chapter Man. Wow, that was Chainsaw Man chapter 186 and 187. Now we run on. Now we go on to the big reads, because these chapters, there's not too many words. Like there's words, but there's nothing too crazy. There's a lot of it's action. Now we go on to Kagurabachi, which these two chapters are basically straight conversations. So there's a lot to cover, but this is basically like direct, not direct. It's like a little bit after Shimura cut down Chihiro, right? We're getting these meetings. They're like, damn, all the sort, like, to think Samura was the one who betrayed us. He killed in contractors. We had to hide the other two sword bearers so they'd be safe. We get an update on Uruko? No. Huku? Oh my god. It says it here. Hakuri. Hakuri. There we go. We get an update on Hakuri's situation where he can talk. He's fine, but he's not like his magic, sorcery, like he says the pathways that govern sorcery are damaged, so he's in recovery. It's like a post-war battle report, basically. Like this is what happened. He told us everything he knows. The sacred blade is about 3/5 done sealed, and Owl is above every place. Like there's a bunch of owls all over. I think the world or Japan, all over Japan. So, like again, the question is, apparently with Samura, even with Samura, I think, even with Samura, they were losing this war, right? Like 18 years ago. Who were they fighting that required this much force? And apparently they're gone. They're like not even there anymore. So, like this is ridiculous. But they make a point that it's like this detecting thing is too big to like focus on the little stuff. So it's basically trying to pinpoint major points of spirit energy spirit energy. So basically it's a enchanted sword radar. If he finds an enchanted sword, he can just hop over there, which is pretty scary. And everything's like we're basically in a three-way tie right now with the Hishaku, Samura, and us, right? The Samura is really the only one that can pose a threat to Hisaku. Hishaku have Samura on their side, and we kind of know where everything is, but that's the problem. If one of us tries to take each other out, the other one's gonna come in. It's gonna be a whole mess. That's kind of like the problem that they're coming across, which again is the thing. Like that's usually how it is in Kagurabachi. Everything's kind of like always at a stalemate. So for the next few days, everything's gonna be a little calm, relatively. But the problem is we have to do something. We can't just leave it like this, right? Because Samura's probably gonna try to start finding and killing the other sword bearers, and then once he's done with that, he's gonna be a whole mess. And he says, our best move, one of these guys says, our best move is to like strengthen our defenses and ambush, I think, the Hishaku when we get the chance. And then we're getting, again, post-war. So obviously, he's not dead, right? Chihiro's not going to die. He's the main character. Give me a second. Sorry, I had to get a swig. Hmm. Obviously, Chihiro's not dead, and we're getting this like, oh, how are you? You fine? And Chihiro's like in this like state where he's like, Uruha's dead. He was murdered, right? He's going through it all again in his head. He's like, Mr. Shimura is he's an enemy now, as I nearly died. And we get this thing where no, you did die, you died, your heart stopped, you were confirmed dead. But after you got hurt, your body kind of healed. And Chihiro's like, my eternal contract broke. Where's my sword? Like, where's Enten? And we're getting this thing where he's like, I think I don't think Samura did this by accident. I think he intentionally planned your revival. Like, what do you mean deliberately? Right? Uh, it's he killed him so that he could sever his contract to stop stop Chihiro's like quest for vengeance, as he says. Um, and Shiba, he doesn't really want to tell him too much. He's like, I failed to protect you for a second time, right? He's like, if only I was faster, if I was a thing, right? And Chihiro's like, you have no proof that Samuro meant to, right? And Shiba said, Samuro had no reason to kill you, right? He didn't need to. And Chihiro's asking why did he kill Ruha, and he's still trying to wrap his head around like the fact that he's working with the people that killed his dad. It doesn't make sense. And then we get the ninja kids, the people from the ninja clan, the Masumi, yeah, from the Masumi ninja clan, and they're saying like, "Yo, you're awake. Good to know. Mr. Shiba talked about you. Your friend Hikaru, basically, he woke up. He's blaming himself for Uraha's death, and he asks us to look out for you, basically to keep you safe. Um, he's like the Misuma Masumi. Sorry, I'm so bad with names. Masumi clan guys. Like, I think he's the head. Yeah, the Masumi clan. Yeah, the head of the Masumi clan. Um, he's like, it's gonna be tough, but he saved us. Until he's back on his feet, we'll do everything in our power to resolve all of his problems, right? And this is like the big question, right? Is Uraha actually dead? Uruha actually dead? They're doing an autopsy, but they're not releasing any of the news about the autopsy, which is kind of weird. They also bring this up. I'll talk about it when it gets to the thing. But they're bringing up the fact that they're trying to get the information on his body, but they're not releasing information about him. You know, so he could be alive, or he could be healing, and they're just not telling people, or he's actually dead and they're trying to study him. But they're saying, don't get your hopes up. He was hit pretty bad. And Chihiro's basically saying like, I want to know what happened, right? Like, I can't do anything. It was like, I need to make Mr. Shimura understand I'm already going to hell, right? I've done too much. I've taken people's lives. I'm in this, right? I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm in this deep. So I want to know so that I can prove to Mr. Shimura that I'm on his level, kind of. Um, and she was basically saying like, okay, are you prepared for this? Because if he kills you again, he's probably not going to let you keep Enton. He's probably just going to take it from you, right? And Shiba's basically saying like, it's my fault, you know. Like, if I was a real adult, I would have had like stopped him before all this happened when he was still when he was like a little younger. But you know, he can't. He's like, you know, I don't want you dying again. Chihiro says, I'm not. I won't. Don't worry about me, right? And Shiba's like, I'll hold you to it. Shiba, he's an interesting character because Shiba is basically Chihiro's guardian now, even though all this like all there's like a lot of problems, right? And he's the only real anchor Chihiro has to the past, and Shiba has made a lot of mistakes. He didn't stop Chihiro from going down this path of like vengeance, and he's kind of always encouraging him, which is also pretty bad. But we cut him some slack, and he's kind of just always there. He's trying to help, but he's always late, even though he can teleport. You know, which is kind of funny. But then we go to the Masumi Masumi clan stuff, and they start getting fucking dripped out of their minds. And they're basically saying, we're going to send a small elite task force. The only people that can be around Samura were the Mishima clan, because they can hide all their senses, right? Because they were the only ones that could fight alongside him, so that they wouldn't be in danger. But we get all of them in this sick, dripped out outfits. They got the suit, they got the gloves, they got the swords. Go and look at this. This image goes hard. This could be a wallpaper. But now, let's go back. But now, that was the end of chapter 60. Now we're going to chapter 61. Give me a second. Let me reload this. Here we go. Chapter 61. This kind of shows how they work, right? Does it have a chapter have a name? Ninja Battle. Funny. And basically showing how the Misumi clan is like very overprotective of Chihiro right now. It's like right now, you're technically the new master, and Chihiro's like, you guys are way too overprotective, right? And he's like, since you can do all this yourself, that's still a good sign, but we're here. We're here to protect you. And they're like, still any news about Mr. Huraha? And like, no. But the reason that they think the reason it's taking so long for them to figure it out is because they're basically studying his body. If anything, if he is actually dead, they're studying his body, because he had a contract with an enchanted blade for 18 years, which is pretty interesting. See what it does to your magical pathways, all that stuff. Just, and the head's basically like, don't get your hopes up. He's probably dead, right? And they're basically talking about the three-way deadlock. Samura, they're basically saying like, yeah, owls are everywhere. It's a problem. And it's like, don't draw Enten. Don't do it. Because if you do, he'll basically just hone in on you. They also make a good point where it's like, we know where he is. It's not hard. This giant patch of magic, of spirit energy, kind of leads directly to where he is. So we know where he is. But if we go to fight him, it's going to be a lot of problems, a lot of complications. And they say here, only Mr. Samura can put pressure on Hishaku. Only he can like actually make a threat right now, since he has an enchanted blade. He's the most experienced with enchanted blade. He's literally all over Japan. They can't hide from him, right? And they say, basically our plan right now is to get leverage on Mr. Samura, right? And they're like, oh, a hostage? Apparently, Mr. Samura has a daughter. Or in this case, had a daughter. Or in better case, has a daughter. So they're saying, Chihiro's like, I didn't know he had a daughter, right? And he's like, oh yeah, he had a wife, they divorced long ago, and they live apart. But if she's dead, like Chihiro's like, but if she's dead, he's like, and the head of the clan is like, I'm saying like a lot. The head of the clan says, since he killed you and you came back, I realize that Mr. Samura, like, death is how he distances himself from people he cares about, right? Either he kills them or he kills something else, right? And the ninja clan, the Misama, said, oh, we faked her death 3 years ago, and we were worried about the family of the enchanted blade wielders, so a lot of them went into hiding, but Mr. Samura didn't want that for his daughter, and basically made it so she died and is now living under like a secret identity, right? And they're saying like, he's a killing machine, she's like leverage, and they're not only saying that she's leverage on him, they're also saying that the Hishaku want her as leverage, because it's only one little problem they can find, like the medical records, the body stuff, that would lead them to her. But there's a spell on Samura's daughter, basically making it so that no one can tell that it's Mrs. Samura's daughter, right? What is it? Seichi? Is that her name? Yeah, Seichi, right here. Makes it impossible for other people to recognize her as, Shaky Samura's daughter. Okay, so never mind. Yeah, we haven't gotten her name yet. I don't know why I was saying that. The spell makes it so that you can't recognize her as the daughter, right? Even she can't recognize it, which is the thing that Mrs. Samura had to like give up. He had to give up his daughter in order to keep her safe. Even if she doesn't remember him, even if she doesn't know that they're related, it's still enough for him to know that she's safe. And they're saying like the problem is if they know where she is, they can put pressure on him. So we rather get her so that we can put pressure on him because we know we're the good guys, air quotes. Um, and Chihiro asks where is she, and she's in Kyoto. And then we cut to some Hishaku members. This guy's name is Kuguri, and this other girl. I don't remember if they say her name. Um, basically, the way these characters act is very interesting because they're all really gung ho about killing and murdering and stuff like that. She says, "Good news, we only have to kidnap her. That should be fun, right?" Sorry, I skipped to the thing, but the way they act is kind of like a giant family almost, which is weird, right? He's like, "Oh, Yura like sent a message. It's almost time, right?" Saying, Hiko, the guy who got his arms cut off, he's in rehab, can't touch his sword. But the problem with him is that he basically spilled the beans, which is like awful, and like this, they're all so weird in their own ways, and I love that because all the main characters are pretty serious. They're granted there's like two characters that are like goofy, but most of the main cast is like pretty serious. Chihiro is the epitome of a serious character, air quotes, but it's kind of like it's a good contrast because they all feel like very tight knit family. Like they're arguing with each other, but of course they're murderers. So he's like, uh, "We're not gonna kill anybody. It's a kidnapping, but that should be fun, right?" And they said, "We don't know where the target is. We're still finding the information, but yeah, if we wait, they'll reveal the goods." Basically saying we're not the only ones after them, but if we trail them, they should lead us to what we want. And we get a full shot of Samura's daughter. We don't have a name yet, I think, but yeah, that's what she looks like. She has that spell. We don't know if she has magic. We don't know magic. We don't know if she has sorcery. We don't know any of that. But we know that the spell's still intact and stuff like that. And if anything, he's kind of still watching over her. But my question is this sorcery thing kind of like the ghosts in I'm gonna say Don I'm gonna make a Dandadan comparison. Is it like a thing like Dandadan where they can't see owl and only if you have sorcery can you see owl? Is that the thing? Because I feel like a lot of people would be panicking if giant owls started appearing all over Japan, right? That can't just be me, right? I'm not crazy, but who knows? Who knows? Um, I think that's a very likely stuff. Likely, very likely outcome where it's like only people with spirit energy can see owl. Some people might have like a feeling like, oh, it feels very like overcast today. It's been overcast for a long time, but only those with magic or sorcery energy, spirit energy, can see owl. That would make sense, but nah, we don't really know how that works. So yeah, Kagurabachi is cooking right now. It's been cooking for a long time, but now we're going into like more story stuff. I kind of feel bad because we kind of like a character we haven't seen in a while is Char. We haven't seen Char even though she was pretty important early on, but we kind of we don't want to keep her in the fighting. We want to keep her safe. Um, just some weird like story stuff, but I really like it. I wonder what you guys feel about it. I know I'm saying like a lot. I'm still a little groggy. But yeah, that was everything we covered. Very good series. Very great. I'm very excited to see what happens next. Both in all this stuff. If you guys have any predictions for any of the stuff we talked about today, say it in the comments. I appreciate everybody who comes in, everyone who stops in for a second, minute, everything. Generic YouTube stuff, like, comment, share, subscribe. And yeah, I'd like to bid you all a farewell.